Central Television! Central Television! Dear viewers, you are now watching Central Television! Dear viewers, I am currently in Queens, New York, where a riot just broke out. The New York police have mobilized a large force to forcibly disperse the crowd. The riot resulted in 1 death and over 30 injuries. The situation is still under investigation. Now let's connect with Sun Fei in Europe to understand the situation there. Hello, host. Hello, Sun Fei, can you tell us about the situation in Paris?
Yes, starting this afternoon, a large crowd has gathered in front of the Élysée Palace in Paris, holding various banners and demanding the government reveal the truth. We can see that a large number of police officers have gathered in front of the presidential palace to prevent the situation from escalating further. President Sarkozy has cancelled his visit to the Middle East and is calling for calm in a televised speech. Okay, let's connect with Su-rin in Tokyo. Hello, Su-rin, hello. It seems the satellite signal is not very good, and we can't connect to Su-rin at the moment. No worries, let's have the 2 guests in the studio provide a scientific explanation of this incident.
Welcome back. This is the special news program on Central Television. First, let me introduce today's special guests, who are also authoritative experts in academia. Here is Professor Huasinian from Tsinghua University, an astronomer, and Professor Zhang Tinjin from the University of Science and Technology of China, an astrophysicist. Good afternoon, professors. We know that at 7:15 a.m. Beijing time today, the entire sun suddenly disappeared from the sky for exactly 10 minutes. This special astronomical phenomenon was observed all over the world, and there was no prediction of a solar eclipse, which has led to many speculations. Of course, the most famous speculation is about the Doomsday Prophecy, which predicted that the sun would completely disappear after the 21st, plunging the earth into darkness. Many people are very concerned about this, especially some foreign citizens who are very worried about the success of this prophecy. By the morning of the 22nd, many people believed that this prophecy, like the end of the world prediction in 1999, was just a joke. However, we know that at around 7:15, the sun suddenly disappeared for about 10 minutes without any warning, plunging the entire Earth into darkness, and global communications were in extreme chaos. The entire process lasted for 10 minutes and then returned to normal. Therefore, many people believe that the Doomsday Prophecy might really come true. Of course, we know this should be a special astronomical phenomenon, just never seen before. So, please help us understand this from a scientific perspective. Thank you. Through the explanations of these authoritative professors, we suddenly feel enlightened and believe that this special astronomical phenomenon has its scientific rationale. It also refutes various doomsday rumors. We should look at such things from a scientific perspective and not make ridiculous, unnecessary panic.
Chu Yunsheng turned off the remote control. He felt it was unnecessary to watch anymore. The internet was already full of curses. The so-called expert debunking had become synonymous with deceiving the public. Since 2008, not many people believed in so-called experts anymore, and Chu Yunsheng certainly didn't believe it either. Although the internet was in chaos and the Harmony troops were constantly harmonizing, most people were still curious and watched the excitement. Of course, it also caused panic for many people. Looking at the crowded supermarkets, you could tell that if it wasn't quelled in time, the panic would cause significant economic losses. Chu Yunsheng was very confident in his judgment. He had felt something was wrong for a long time, the reason being an ancient book passed down in his family. Although the words in the book were completely scrambled, not even oracle bone script, he was still sure it was an ancient book. To say it was an heirloom ancient book was a bit of an exaggeration, as it was mainly used to prop up the bed and cabinets. The book looked too old and worn out, except it was thick. Chu Yunsheng's father always said it was an heirloom and wouldn't sell it, but in reality, when Chu Yunsheng got into college and needed money, his father secretly took the book to all the pawn shops and antique markets in the city. The result was that it was appraised as a useless book, with the oldest age being no more than 3 or 5 years, which obviously did not match his father's claim of it being an heirloom. This made his father very angry. Later, it passed to Chu Yunsheng, who continued to use it as a prop until he decided to buy a house. Like his father, he hoped it might be valuable and took it to all the antique markets, but no one was interested. In anger, Chu Yunsheng never thought about it again, and the so-called heirloom book continued to serve as a prop. Until one night, after breaking up with his longtime girlfriend and drinking, Chu Yunsheng discovered the book emitting a strange, dazzling light. Although it didn't last more than 20 seconds, Chu Yunsheng was sure he hadn't seen wrong. Even when his friends laughed at him, he insisted he had really seen it. Driven by the desire for money, he took the book to all the pawn shops, but the result was still disappointing. No one recognized it as a treasure. In desperation, Chu Yunsheng spent a lot of money on a carbon dating test, which concluded that it was an ordinary book, not an ancient one. This initially made Chu Yunsheng very frustrated, but he soon found the situation very strange. He had known about the book since he was a child. Although he couldn't guarantee how long it had been with his father, it had been at least over 20 years since he could remember. The test results saying it was no more than 10 years old suggested it was not only not trash, but an extraordinary book. Chu Yunsheng studied the book's material for a long time without any results. Later, he spent a long time researching the strange patterns and equally strange text in the book. Relying on a faint connection to Chinese characters and even Oracle bone script, Chu Yunsheng managed to learn about 300 simple characters. These 300 characters were not enough to fully understand the book, and he couldn't comprehend anything beyond the first 10 pages. But those 10 pages allowed him to barely make out that the book's author repeatedly warned future generations. When the celestial track arrives, all laws will return to order, the universe will reset, and humanity will face turmoil. At that time, Chu Yunsheng was emotionally troubled by a breakup, and the influence of an American doomsday movie and frequent natural disasters worldwide made him very curious about doomsday prophecies. Bored, he used the book's calculation rules to compare with the current Gregorian calendar and repeatedly calculated the date of the celestial track's arrival. To his shock, the date was only 7 days later than the doomsday prophecy, meaning it would happen on the 28th. Chu Yunsheng calculated many times, initially afraid he had misunderstood the characters. As he learned more characters and his calculations became more accurate, the date still pointed to the 28th. Chu Yunsheng was very panicked. He didn't know why the book seemed to have a special power, driving him to believe that a great change would happen on that day. The matter troubled Chu Yunsheng for a long time. He anonymously posted about the date online, but it went unnoticed because there were so many doomsday prophecies, and the government severely cracked down on rumors, even chasing people across provinces. His post quickly sank into obscurity. 3 months ago, he saw the book emit 7-colored light again. He was just about to turn off the light and sleep when the brilliant colors illuminated his entire bedroom, almost stunningly beautiful. Chu Yunsheng was almost mesmerized. The last time the book emitted light, Chu Yunsheng had been drinking, and his friend's skepticism had almost made him think it was an illusion. This time, he was very sober. After the shock, he dared not doubt it anymore. For 3 months, he frantically prepared for this day. His actions made all his friends think he was crazy. Some even wanted to send him to a mental hospital. He sold the house he had bought with a loan without hesitation. He sold everything he considered unnecessary for the future, exchanging it for cash. In the heart of Shanghai, which he believed would be protected by the military, he rented 2 apartments on the same floor. He didn't dare rent the ground or top floors because the book said that the celestial track's restoration would bring about the intersection of another space from the universe, leading to an invasion by powerful beings from that space, whose strength would be overwhelming for Earth's creatures. Chu Yunsheng sealed the doors and windows with the strongest steel. He stocked up on a lot of food, purified water, and other necessities in the 2 apartments. He bought everything he could think of. Based on his estimate of consuming no more than 2 pounds of rice per day, he crazily bought over 10 tons of rice, costing him more than 20,000 yuan, which he thought would last him over 10 years. He also bought water, salt, sugar, paper, batteries, even toothpaste, detergent, and lighters. After much effort, he bought a Type 92 pistol and 100 rounds of ammunition from the black market. By the 21st, His bank balance had dropped from hundreds of thousands to 2,000 yuan, not because he didn't want to buy more, but because his rooms were filled to capacity, even the bathroom and bed. The landlords of the apartments, one abroad and one in Shenzhen, rarely returned to Shanghai. Just before the 21st, Chu Yunsheng secretly broke through the wall between the two apartments and sealed off the door and windows of one of them. Then he quietly waited for the unknown great change. Chu Yunsheng wasn't unwilling to help his friends, but unfortunately, at the last moment, almost everyone thought he was crazy. Even his relatives thought he was crazy. Almost no one believed him. But this morning, more and more people called him because the disappearance of the sun was so shocking. Many people, though still reluctant to believe in something incredible, were still panicking. Many who knew about his crazy preparations asked him what would happen. But Chu Yunsheng didn't know because he couldn't understand the text after "when the celestial track arrives." He could only patiently advise them to prepare supplies. By evening, he went to the supermarket across the community and found it half empty. The evening news repeatedly emphasized that the phenomenon had scientific explanations and that the world would not end. Meanwhile, public unrest demanding the truth from governments worldwide grew worse, and all the news websites had the same headlines. The sun vanished. Is the doomsday prophecy coming true? Are you ready for the end of the world? The end is near. Have you bought your ticket?